Hi everyone, my name is Matthew and I'm a tutor at TOEFL.com. Each week we come back here on our YouTube channel and we review a submission from a student for an independent task, either question 1 and 2 of the speaking section or question 2 of the writing section of the TOEFL. We go to our forum, which we'll talk about later, and we take a submission from one of the questions that we posted each Wednesday. So you'll be able to have a chance to look at a variety of questions and see other students' work where they posted it on the forum. And each week you might be the one that we review that week for either the speaking or the writing section. This week we're going to be doing the speaking section. I do suggest that you check out last week's video with Leah. It was a really great video on natural fluency and how you can pause at the right points and understand how to really speak like a native speaker on the test. So this week we have a specific question that doesn't have 2 choices like you might see on the test, but 3 choices. This is something that you might see once in a while, but don't worry about it. It's not something that you want to stress out about. It gives you an advantage because now you have more options to choose from. So we have airplane, refrigerator, or television. Which one do you feel like was the most important invention? And just choose the one that you feel comfortable with. Don't worry about the other 2. Don't try to support them, and just go with either television or airplane. Sometimes refrigerator for some students is going to be a little bit difficult, and that's fine. Just choose what you feel like you can support easily and quickly. Now we're going to listen to a submission from a student that really brought up a couple of points that I want to talk about, specifically about pacing, connecting content, and really developing a complete answer, because a lot of students get fair scores because they're not really answering that question why, and it is a missing component that is going to help you to get a 4 out of 4, and for a lot of you, that's going to help you to get a 26 out of 30. So let's take a listen, we'll review it, and then we'll talk about exactly what you need to do to get to the forum. So let's take a listen now.
In my view, TV is the best invention for the following reasons. First of all, TV is a great educational tool. For example, people who learn a new language, include myself, I'm learning English, and sometimes I get bored reading my textbook. So by watching TV, I get to learn lots of information in a really funny way. Second of all, TV has a really great impact on me. There is always someone on TV telling me what to wear, how to cook, what to eat. So I feel like TV is my friend. And that's why I feel that TV is the best invention.
Okay, so what I want to go over now is just one part of the first example that I think really illustrates a great point. I think this particular answer was well paced. I think that it was clear and had good natural pauses. So that is an important component of speaking fluently, right? Speaking slowly in a relaxed way and knowing what you want to say. So part of your example is going to be the details of a personal experience. Now, the reason why we choose a personal experience is because it's much easier to talk about. Then you'll start sounding like this student, which is fairly good because you don't have to go back and forth thinking about what you want to say and then saying it, and then it becomes disrupted. In this particular case, what I want to focus on is the content. And I created a little transcript here, as you can see in the top corner, about the example. And it says, people who learn new language include myself. I'm learning English, and sometimes I get bored within my textbook, so by watching TV, I get to learn lots of information in a really funny way. It's a really good habit to get into the form of doing, which is this, writing out your examples and actually seeing what you had said. So when we hear something, it might sound right, but when we see it, it actually is a good indicator for you to see, am I expressing why? Am I talking grammatically accurately? Can I change the vocabulary? So one adjustment I want to make here is going to be about the beginning part. So it seems like it's separated sentences. People who learn language include myself, I am learning English. What we could do is eliminate that very first part and just say, for example, I'm learning English. And then we also have some vocabulary and phrasing issues here. When we say, I get bored within my textbook, it's not within the textbook. We're not actually within it. We're not going to be in the textbook. We want to say, I'm bored with something, right? So I'm excited to be with this person. I'm bored with this book. I'm bored studying with this book. So here we want to also express because. We want to express why. So when you're expressing your example, we want to eliminate that information that's not necessary, that introductory information. Since we only have about 18 seconds to say, here's my reason, here's my example, people who learn new language has to go. We talk about the direct details. I'm learning English now, and I'm studying with a textbook and I'm bored with it. TV is better because why? So we have these fragmented sentences that we want to fix, and then it's going to look something like this. So the first step that I want you to do, as I mentioned, create a visual for yourself, record your answer, listen to it, then write it out exactly as you hear it, just like I did here. Step two, look at the phrasing that you're using. You can eliminate all extra content that's not going to be necessary. Then, step three, answer the questions that aren't answered there. In this case, the question why. Why do you feel this way? Why are you bored? So, the first thing I want to do is set up a template. So, let's look at the bottom corner here. For example, I'm learning English and sometimes I get bored. Okay, so I'm keeping the same language and the same answer. I'm not changing anything. We're going to correct the grammar. Bored with my textbook. Now, at this point, whenever you make a statement, you have to say why. So that's the most important part to sounding fluent and clear, because the TOEFL grader is not going to fill in the content for you. They're not going to adjust anything or fill in anything that you're not saying. So it's not about interpretation, inferences, or implications. It's all about directly stating it so we receive the information and we don't have to translate in our mind. With my textbook, because I feel what? In this case, I can just, fill in the gaps for the student. I feel like I have to teach myself. So when you're studying with a textbook, it's boring because you require that internal motivation. I maybe don't know what is being said here. I'm not really sure how it's being explained, and I don't really like reading a textbook. We don't want to say all of that information, but you want to grab that context for yourself to understand what you mean and how you feel about it, and then say why. However, the next part, when I watch TV, when I watch the news, a documentary, maybe they have English lessons where you are in your local community, where they show it on local television, whatever the case is going to be, I'm able to learn in a fun way. This is a really common error that students make. Not funny. Funny is humorous and entertaining. In this case, it's going to be fun in terms of being enjoyable, not humorous, but enjoyable. So I like to learn and I'm able to learn in a fun way. How? Because I feel like I'm interacting with someone. Someone is talking to me and I'm able to absorb the information. I don't really have to read and think about it. I can listen. I can take notes if I want. I can write down words that I heard. I can improve my listening comprehension and be able to visualize what the person is saying, and I can actually see someone, and it's like having a teacher with me. Instead of a book, it's kind of boring, and that's why television is the greatest invention. That's why it's the most important invention. Now, I'm going off in a little bit of an explanation here. That is not what you want to do. I'm over explaining to illustrate a point, which is going to be, this is the kind of thinking that you want to think about. Think about that broad explanation, narrow it down to something that makes sense to you and is going to make sense to the TOEFL grader, which is very, very simple. Keep it simple with language that you understand. It's fun. I feel like I have a teacher with me. This is why it's important, and that's what we're going to be talking about here. So remember the three steps. The first step, write it out. Second step, review it, analyze it. Take 20 minutes if you have to. Don't worry about the time. And then do it again and write in those points that you need to focus on in order to improve it, answering the question why, and always expressing things directly. And when we answer things directly, when we answer the questions directly and we feel comfortable and confident, then you'll be able to get a good score, because when you feel relaxed, you sound fluent. When you sound fluent, it's because you're expressing your ideas clearly and directly. So remember these three steps, follow them, practice every day, and then you'll be able to get a really fantastic score. So let's just review the points that we went over, and then we'll talk about exactly how you can visit our forum and get your work reviewed here, possibly next week. So, what we want to do here is we want to analyze the good points and the points that we want to improve. This particular question would get a 3 to 3.5. Fluency is pretty good, but the content would be considered fair, partly because of the examples and the connection. I think that the foundation of the example is really good. I think the connections can be improved as we went through the three-step process. I think it was very well paced, very relaxed, very confident, and smooth, which is extremely important. So these are very strong strengths. These are very good points to review and to note. But those connections, those clarity that we need is going to be a very important point that you want to develop. So when you're practicing, what I want you to focus on is going to be how you sound, the smoothness of your speech, but also the content. And we can do these things separately. You can time yourself for 18 seconds only, listen to yourself. Do you have smoothness issues, vocabulary issues, or content issues? And then we can write it out and we can change the vocabulary. Look up different words, look it up in the thesaurus. But you also want to keep it simple. If it's fun, say it's fun, but just say why, like we connected in the previous point about the student's first example. So now what I want to do is I want to explain exactly how you can improve your content of the speaking or the writing task by visiting our forum, and then you'll be able to possibly get it reviewed here, and we'll be able to help everybody benefit from your examples, which is an extremely important point that we want to bring home for everybody, which is that you're in a community, you're not alone, and this is a really great resource to find out. So let's take a look at how we can do that next. So if you're interested in getting your work reviewed by us here on YouTube, if you want to ask any questions that you might have about the TOEFL or your studies, you could always click the links below, go to our NOFL forum site, which is in the About section, and you could also email us at studenthelp@noteful.com. As always, to everybody that is taking the test this weekend, good luck. For those of you that are working hard and still studying, we wish you the best of luck as well, and please let us know if we can help you any further.